In the next chapter, we're going to talk about financing, how to finance your business, how to fund your business, how to get loans, how to get equity, how to get other people's money in order to help you grow a business. So, the first point on that is when to finance. And before I talk about that too much, I'm going to say that your instructors are pretty much anti debt guys. We're not big believers in borrowing money, especially for a startup. Why? One, because every speaker who's going to be talking and instructing in this course has probably been burnt on borrowing money too early. And when you borrow money, it has to be paid back, by the way. So that's one of the things. The other part about borrowing money that we're, you know, just a little cautious about is, can you borrow money to start a company? To start a company. Now, you might be able to borrow money to grow a company, but can you borrow money to start a company? And you cannot borrow money to start a company in most situations because it's too risky. So we don't want you spinning your wheels, spending a lot of time chasing money that's not out there. That's more applicable for a startup, but just a couple of notes. You get money when you need money to grow your business. The word need, N-E-E-D, is often confused with want or desire or nice. Needing money to grow. There are situations where you cannot grow unless you get outside capital. But most entrepreneurs, including me, mistake need for want. And again, I hate keep going back to my early career, but there's so many lessons in it. When I was starting out, I thought I needed money when in fact it was more of a desire and a way to accelerate a business model that wasn't really proven. Be cautious with borrowing money. Very, very cautious. When you borrow money or when you attract investors, which is a form of debt, no matter what anybody says, that money has to be paid back. So there we go. However, another way or another time to attract capital is when you can make more money with financing. That dovetails with expanding. You need money to grow, but that growth will lead to your being able to make more money. We've already talked about when you get financing, you increase your overhead. So I'm not going to dive into that more. The next point is you need the money to become stronger because of competition. But be careful about this because this is probably the least compelling reason to attract or to get capital. Um, I always like to look at what my business is doing and where I'm going. I'm watching the competition a little bit, but my attention is focused on getting the customers. Because I know if I serve my customers well, I'm going to be in the top 1% of all businesses in the country. So I think there are times when you look at the market, and this has happened to me, and you say, wow, it's getting more competitive and we better expand. And therefore you get money. But there's more times when you overestimate the strength of competition and you get capital and now you got to pay it back and you're in a hole. I mean, you can tell that I'm cautious now about attracting capital, even though I'm supposed to be an expert in this stuff. I'm an expert in stuff that you shouldn't do, you know. All right, when not to finance. Well, here's one. You should not finance your business just because you can finance your business. People get this wrong all the time with banks. It's really all the time. It's amazing. They they um, they think that because the bank will lend them money, that they should borrow money, and that doesn't work. Like the bank is in business to make money. So just because they're going to lend you money doesn't mean you should borrow the money. You want to borrow money to expand your business, but you shouldn't do it just because you can do it. So where do you get financing? There's lots of places to get financing for your business. And again, it depends upon your business, that'll dictate, where you should go. But you can go to banks, credit unions, you can go to angel investors, manufacturers, venture capital firms. A lot of people start their businesses with friends and family because those are the only people who are going to be, sometimes, not always, be willing to take a risk on you. There's investment clubs you can get to. A lot of getting financing is about networking and just meeting lots of people. And then there's subordinated debt firms and funky stuff like mezzanine firms that I'm not going to get into. There's so many ways to finance your business and so many structures that we're not going to get into all of them. But I get a lot of questions about, how do I get financing? And it's literally about just networking with anybody who's connected with the finance world. And they will eventually bring you down to the people you need to talk to get money. Mistakes to avoid in raising money. The first one is don't give away your company too early. Now, giving away your company means giving away equity. When you finance your business, there's two types of financing. There's borrowed money and there's equity money. Borrowed money is money you get and you just pay back regularly. Equity money is ownership in your business. So this point is usually for tech firms, but not always, more high growth companies. A lot of entrepreneurs give away way too much of their company in the form of equity too early. So but by the time they go through Series A, B, C, D, and all this other stuff, by the time they sell the company, they don't own a lot of it. I cannot tell you how often that's happened. It's a real tragedy. And people will convince you, I don't mean just the venture capital guys, but people will convince you that you need to raise all this money. But when you're doing that, you're giving away something. If you get something, you have to give something. So if you get borrowed money, you have to pay money back regularly. If you get equity money, you're giving away ownership. I think back to starting SageWorks. I'm so glad we really stunk at raising equity money because had we raised equity money, we would have gone out of business. Because when we signed Citibank and Intuit, people thought, oh, wow, SageWorks is now the real deal. We got offers from people to put equity money in. But the truth is, those early deals were false positives. They weren't scalable. So if we raised equity money, we would have been forced into a business model that didn't work. So again, be cautious with money. The next one, don't or try not to use credit card or high-cost lenders. Now, I have to be careful there. Remember, we're on chapter 2, growing your business. We're not on necessarily squarely on starting your business. Most businesses I know are started with the owner's capital and through credit cards and friends and family and all these sort of high-risk categories. We're in the second chapter, which is growing your business. We don't recommend using credit card debt because it carries a high interest rate. So generally, you don't want to be borrowing at 18, 20%.